This video is going to be very different from anything I've ever done here on the channel. Usually I make really fast-paced tutorials, but today I'm going to invite you inside my real piano practice. Mistakes, struggles, and all. Something that you might not know is that my practice routine has actually changed significantly over the last 5 years. I used to practice anywhere from 2 to 8 hours a day, but when my daughter was born, suddenly everything changed. I had to get creative with when I practiced and how I practiced. This is when I really took things to the next level with smarter, not harder. So this video isn't just for you. It's also a commitment to myself, because if I have to film myself practicing and share it with you, I have to practice, right? And if you love this video and you think this would make a good series, let me know in the comments, because I'm considering making videos like this more regularly. Now, in today's video, we're gonna be focusing on a huge issue that I have, and I know that you also struggle with too, because it's a pretty universal piano player problem: left hand chord jumps. But this video is gonna be really helpful for you, because not only are you going to get to observe my process, by doing so, you're going to learn how to make left hand jumps easier in any piece of music for yourself as well. Plus, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you some piece recommendations at various levels for pieces that have similar left hands to the one I'm gonna show you today. And that way, if you want to start working on left-hand chord jumps, you're going to have the perfect piece for your level to do so. Hey piano people, welcome to Ashley Young Music Studio, where you learn how to practice smarter, not harder. Let's dive in. Okay, so I'm working on the Ragtime dance by Joplin, and the left-hand chord jumps in this piece are intense. So my biggest challenge is accuracy. The jumps are really fast at the higher tempo when I'm done learning it. And if I don't land them precisely, everything falls apart and sounds really, really messy. So I want to show you just a little bit of what the piece sounds like. I'm going to play it slowly because I'm actually in the process of learning this piece, so I am not playing it up to tempo yet. So you can kind of hear, and you can see, very jumpy left hand, right? There's a lot going on there. And maybe towards the end of the video, I'll play a little bit more of it for you. Now, one thing that I always do before I even sit down to practice is that I actually plan out my practice. I write down what I'm going to do and in what order, so that I can be the most effective and the most efficient as possible. Because instead of just like repeating these jumps over and over, or playing the piece over and over and hoping for the best, we're gonna focus on one measure at a time, and we're going to be really specific about what we do. So let me show you what I did. This is actually really, really, really exciting. I have been working on this for a long time, and depending on when this video comes out, I don't even know if this will have been announced to the public yet. So you are probably seeing this for the very first time before anyone else. This is a tool that I've been creating for the last several months, and it's a done for you practice calculator that will help you calculate, or actually not help you, it will calculate for you a done for you practice plan. And so you can see with this piece, I'm working on the Ragtime dance. I'm gonna practice it for about 25 minutes, but don't worry, I'm not going to, you're not gonna see me practice. This video is not gonna be that long. I'm gonna skip through the boring parts for you. Now, further than that, we're gonna split it down, that 25 minutes, into 10-minute chunks, or in this case, 2 10-minute chunks and a 5-minute chunk. And that's because, well, I talk about it in a lot of other videos. I'm not gonna go too deep into it here, but that's how you get effective and efficient practice. I'm gonna be working on confidence milestone number 4 from the confidence roadmap. And these are the revolutionary practice methods that I'm going to be using. I said we're specifically going to be working on measure 5, and then you can even see my plan for each 10-minute chunk. And this little practice routine that I have right here, it came from the done for you practice calculator. And this is that tool that I cannot wait to share with you, because it's seriously going to revolutionize your piano practice. You enter in all the pieces you're working on, all the supporting skills you're working on, and it spits out a practice plan for you that you can then print out and use. So if I've announced it to the public, it'll be linked in the description below. If I haven't announced it to the public, keep an eye out over the next coming weeks, because it's going to be announced if it hasn't been so already. Okay, so let's look at measure 5. And the first thing that we're going to do in our first 10-minute chunk is we're going to get comfortable just playing the left hand and getting comfortable with the height of the arc. Something that often happens with piano players is when we have to move our hand to a different location on the keyboard, we kind of get scared and we want to stay close to the keys. We want to stay on the keys. So it's you can kind of micromanage and say okay, I have to go all the way down here, I'm going to slide so I can feel every note in between, and then I'm going to get myself, down to that note or up to that chord. But when that happens, you're actually preventing physics from helping you, right? I want to create an arc, and I want the height of that arc to actually ensure that I land on the correct note or chord every single time I make a jump. So there's a formula that I go over in a lot of other videos, and I'm not going to go over it in this video, but you can like search my channel for like chord jumps, and you're going to find a lot of videos that explain this formula and exactly how to do it. But because you're watching me practice, I'm going to let you go ahead and kind of like watch me work on these chords. So I'm going to work on the first note, which is B flat, to the chord, which is a B flat major chord, right? And I'm just going to get really comfortable with this arc. So I'll stop talking for a second and I'll practice that. Okay, I'm comfortable between the first note and the next chord. So now I'm going to take that second chord in the measure and I'm going to go to the third note, which is a big jump down here to this F. And you can see my arc is pretty high. Okay, I'm going to practice this for a minute. Now, I want to make sure I'm even like more confident with this jump because it's really far, and so I'm going to close my eyes. And I'm going to see if I can actually do that jump with my eyes closed. That's something that I will often do to like kind of test myself or double check if I'm really comfortable with a jump. Yes, I got it. Okay, so now I'm going to take that third note and come up to the very last chord of this measure. This is an F going back to that same exact chord that I was just on. Now you might think like, oh, you don't need to practice that, you just practice that, but I am going to practice because you'll notice what I'm doing here is I'm isolating the distance between every single note and chord, right? I didn't just do like beat 1, which would have been the B flat to here, and then jump to beat 2, which would be F to here. I'm also getting like the chord back down to the note. I hope that makes sense. So let's do that last combination. Now I'm going slow enough for me at a tempo where I can do this accurately. At any point, if I were to miss this chord jump or miss a note, I would go back and very slowly make sure that I have a lot of repetitions of doing it correctly to cancel out that one wrong time. You'll notice I'm not making a ton of mistakes right now, and that's not because I know this piece. That's not because I'm like super amazing and I never make mistakes. That's because I'm going at a tempo where I know I can play it accurately without making those mistakes. So doing this repetition helped me get a physical sense of the movement. It helped me kind of choreograph like, where am I going, what am I doing, and how high does my hand need to go so that I can land there accurately every time. So now I'm going to implement a revolutionary practice method called flash practice. And this is where we're going to isolate the jumps again, but we're going to speed it up into really quick bursts and then integrate it back into the piece. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. I'm going to practice it for you here in just a second. It's a total game changer. Before we dive into flash practice, really quickly, if you're liking this video and you like this format, give the video a thumbs up, comment below, let me know what's resonating, let me know if you want me to turn this into a series or not, and then also make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. I changed my schedule and I'm actually publishing videos every other weekend, so you want to make sure that you're notified when those videos come out so that you don't miss out on any of this helpful content. All right, let's get back to flash practice. Now, this is something that I also have videos on, and so you can search the channel and watch me like break down exactly how to do this in your practice. But the essential concept is that we're going to go between the first note and the second note, just like we did. So the first note and the second chord, I should say, or excuse me, the first note and the first chord, and we're going to do it as fast as possible. And the point here is that we're going to play the first note as quickly as possible and land on the second note, or in this case the chord, as accented as possible. Okay, and this little fast tracking is helping me really get that arc and this choreography into my muscle memory as quickly and as like solidly as possible. I'm gonna do it now for a few minutes. Okay, so I just did it 10 times in a row perfectly, so that's good for me. Now, again, if I were making mistakes, I would slow down, I would go back, I would do it 10 times in a row to cancel out those mistakes that I made. Now I'm gonna do the same thing between that chord and the third note. 10 times in a row perfectly. So now I'm going to go between that third note and the last chord of this measure. On the 6th time, I made a mistake, so I'm going to slow down a little bit, and I'm going to try it again. On the 4th time, I made a mistake. Okay, I'm going to slow down even more and try to get this. So So whenever you're making a mistake, one thing that I always have to keep in mind when I'm practicing, and that I want you to keep in mind too, is the mistakes are always an opportunity to learn, right? It doesn't matter, I mean, it matters if you make mistakes, but I don't want you to be hard on yourself when you make mistakes. You just use them as an opportunity to slow down, reassess, and try again, right? Okay, so I've done this whole measure in flash practice now, and so now it's deeper into my memory, so I'm gonna try to play it. Yeah! And I'm gonna loop it a few times just to see. It feels so much better. Like the distance between these notes and chords feels like nothing, whereas before it felt like really far and really challenging. Now it doesn't. So now for fun, I'm gonna play a little bit of this first section for you so that you can hear what it sounds like. I'm interested to see, because I just practiced the first measure, that's going to translate to other measures because the other measures have like similar things in the left hand, but some of those spacings are different. And so it's going to be really interesting to see if I can do this accurately, because obviously I would need to implement that same strategy that I just did to some of the other measures as well. But you can hear a little bit of the piece now. Whoop! See, I already made a mistake. Let's try again. I'm going to go a little slower. You'll have to let me know, because one of the other ideas that I had that I was kind of toying around with is like potentially when I finish the piece, well, I could do another practice video on it, but then also doing like posting some more performance videos. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you want to see. Okay, now I'm going to link the book that I was using for that ragtime dance in the description below in case you're interested in learning the piece. But I also wanted to really quickly share with you a couple of pieces that you could work on that would be very, very similar as far as left hand jumps go, but at different levels. So the first one, that's a late beginner level, would be the Wild Horseman by Robert Schumann. And as you can see here in the video of me playing it, the left hand is still doing jumps, but they're in a much simpler way. You're not going nearly as far, but you would still get that basic idea, especially if late beginner is your current level. At the intermediate level, I'm going to list this Chopin waltz, which also has left hand chord jumps, but again, they're not quite as advanced as the ragtime dance. This would be a really great piece for you if you are like intermediate to late intermediate, and you could work on all of the practice techniques that we worked on in this piece if you chose to work on it. And then lastly, the advanced level would of course be the Ragtime Dance by Joplin that I just showed you. All right, so if you liked this video, please let me know. I want to know if you want me to turn this into a series or not, and if so, I'm so happy to do it. I'd be so excited to do it. Now, in the next video, I'm going to show you a secret hand positioning trick that will make your chord jumps even easier. It's something that I did actually in my piano practice session yesterday to prepare for this video. It'll make those chords feel like they're second nature. So I'm going to link that right here on the end screen, along with either the Done For You practice calculator or my free Facebook community. Again, I'm filming this video in advance, so I don't know which one I'm going to do, but go ahead and check those out there on the end screen. If you can grab that practice calculator, if it's available, do it. It's so inexpensive, and it's lifetime access to this tool that you can use literally every time you practice. Happy practicing!